Hello and welcome to the CDO magazine interview series. I'm Yali Sassoon. I'm co-founder and CTO at a company called Snowplow. And today I'm incredibly fortunate to have the opportunity to speak with Kalyani Sekar, the Chief Data Officer at Verizon.
Hey, Ali, nice meeting you.
Zooming into sort of behavioral data as a subset of your data, in what ways are you aligning behavioral data strategy with Verizon's ever-evolving business objective and customer-centric goals?
Ali, customer is the heart of everything that we do, right? Customer sits in the middle. That customer, when I put customer in the middle of everything that we do, around that we have our employee data, network data, device data, distribution data. When I look at all these things, the key is how we bring all the data together and bring the behavioral pattern from there. Because bringing the core data and the behavioral data truly create a 360-degree view of every entity that we have in the organization. Once we have a complete view of what that entity is doing with respect to Verizon, that really enables the capability of both predictive and prescriptive nature of AI in the organization. And eventually, when predictive and prescriptive work very well, that really takes us to proactive, right? Because when we become proactive, we are able to predict the customer and also proactively take actions so that the customer won't even go through any problem with Verizon. So all these things we are able to do not only with the core data, but also with the behavioral data that is overlaid on top of the core data. This behavioral data comes from the entity itself, and sometimes these behavioral data comes from the third-party data sets also. But bringing a very strong understanding of core behavioral data, which is our own managed behavioral data and the third-party behavioral data, truly create a holistic view of the entities that makes us to become much more predictive, prescriptive, and proactive.
Makes lots of sense. As we've talked a bit about behavioral data, but what about real-time data? I mean, think about business as big as Verizon with all your different entities and all the different data describing what they're doing second by second and minute by minute. Like how are you using that data in real time, and how do you enable those kind of real-time use cases when you've got the kind of volume, velocity, and heterogeneity of data that you guys have?
Mhm. Real, yeah, I think we are leveraging real-time data for good amount of time. And as you can clearly imagine, real-time data is very critical on the network. And we bring the real-time data from various touch points and the channels. And let me give a few examples, right? I think maybe when we talk about customers interact with us through various channels. It can be IVR, it can be digital channels, it can be call center. There are multiple channels in which the customers interact with us. And we also send lots of information to the customer in the form of bill and multiple things, right? Bringing all the data together real time and building the journey of the customer truly helps us in multiple ways. How? Because that really gives us clear indication on how the customer is experiencing in Verizon. And with that, we'll be able to clearly predict and prescribe the next best action and offer that we need to provide for customer. This is from the commercial standpoint. Let me take network. From network side, the devices in the field are throwing so much of data every subsecond. A second is a long period for us. Every subsecond, it is emitting so much of data. We take all the data into our warehouse. All the data are managed at the edge. We don't even bring it to the central place, right? Because then there will be some latency, right? And you don't want to have even a glitch when you make a call. So you take all the data real time in the edge, and then we really see when we start taking the data, we start measuring the KPI. Oh, how the network is performing. Whenever we see some glitch and whenever we see some anomalies, we immediately take action. And that really creates or provides seamless experience for the customer when they make a call or when they browse the internet. So I think maybe all these things happen behind the scene, and our objective is to bring the data real time, truly detect the anomalies, and make sure that the customer gets seamless experience when they work with our network.
It's kind of amazing as customers, we really don't think about all of this intelligence, all of this data processing that happens every time we make a simple call.
Now you will think about it. And whenever you make a call, you will think about this conversation. You'll say,
Oh.
"Oh, Kalyani said this."
Um, so turning our attention to AI, this has got to be a big topic. How do you see AI transforming Verizon's approach to data infrastructure and customer experience? And are there particular initiatives or ideas that you're especially excited about?
Yeah, it's really transforming the way we manage infrastructure all the days. And let me start from the machine learning days, right? I think the old machine learning days and the statistical machine learning, everything when we were doing with structured data. From that day, even when we moved to the deep learning days, I think the infrastructure needs went completely. I think maybe it tremendously went up. And what happened was we really paid lots of attention to how we forecast the storage and compute the demand on a regular basis, because it's not like prior to this, right? And when we had all machine learning algorithms and all, maybe every quarter, every 6 months, if we think about hardware and plan for hardware, that was sufficient. But when we started getting into deep learning, it's almost every day, every minute, and you started getting into real time. It's every day, every minute matters a lot. Along with forecasting the compute and the storage, it's also important to think about how we start thinking of how we start doing auto provisioning. And also when there is problem, providing a self-healing capabilities as a part of the infrastructure. All of them became important. And that's when the hyperscalers also started building all those capabilities as a part of infrastructure. So I just wanted to draw the line, I think, up to deep learning. Then when generative AI came up, there is a big demand for GPUs, right? And GPUs, and along with GPUs, okay, how can I manage GPUs? Because GPUs, I think the GPU demand was much more than where the supply was. And I think maybe when we look into the value and everything, it is important for us to economically manage GPUs. So the team really started looking into effectively managing GPUs and how we plan and optimize GPUs on a regular basis. So that infrastructure management itself is close to managing AI, which was, I think, that became a hard job in the market, right? And in addition to that, as we started getting into hyperscalers and started leveraging clouds, it really became so important to manage the discipline of FinOps as much as we think about infrastructure, because otherwise the cost will hit the roof. So that is another area. Managing the infrastructure, managing the FinOps are two sides of one coin. Then, as I said, I think maybe it's a continuous evaluation, and we also started introducing lots of AI techniques in detecting anomalies and leveraging or providing proactive actions as a in managing the infrastructure. So multi-cloud, performing AI at the edge was the key. And when we do all of them, all the things I talked about, managing the infrastructure and equally focusing on FinOps was very, very critical for us.
I can imagine, and it's sort of almost kind of circular that you've got to use data and AI to manage all the infrastructure you have to run to do data and AI, but totally makes sense that at kind of Verizon scale, that is absolutely critical and very, very difficult, very difficult to do. But you've got those systems in place. You're managing the FinOps and scaling the infrastructure. So your teams have the GPUs that they need. They're able to run the models on the edge where they're needed. If you think about how's AI transformed Verizon up until now, And then as you look ahead, what are the changes that you think AI is going to enable now that you've got all this great, well-governed, high-quality data coming in and all this fantastic infrastructure to run and deploy the models where they're needed? How's it making a difference to the business?
All the days, right, with the evolution of AI, with all the deep learning and agentic and everything, the whole AI will become part of the process. I think maybe before the generative AI and all the deep learning and everything that came up in real time, AI was always good to have, and AI was always used to make operational decisions on a regular basis. But AI was not expected to make the decisions on the fly when the events happen. I think now with all the agentic and deep learning and everything that we introduce, it becomes, I think maybe when you think about before technology and after technology, right? Well, before technology, people know how to take a paper and write order and do something, right? I think once the technology came in, without technology, it is almost like an outage, right? I think everyone will feel like, okay, I don't know how to do my job. I think we are getting into a space where AI becomes part of the systems and AI gets integrated into the day-to-day business. AI start recommending the products that customers need to buy. And yet both in digital and as well as in the channels that are used in the stores and other places. AI started giving scripts on how, or scripts or nudges on how the pitching needs to be done when the sales is done. And AI is really taking a call in a call center and pair it with the right person who will provide the best experience for the customer. AI provides the coaching after the call. Every walk of the individual working in an organization, AI becomes an augmentation of himself or herself. AI becomes almost like a personal assistant for that individual. So that is how I clearly see AI becomes part of the business and part of the human instead of seeing AI as a good to have and a fancy thing to have.
It's been an absolute pleasure listening to you. Thanks so much for joining me today. For anyone listening, there are more interviews and insights. Do please visit cdomagazine.tech. That's CDO magazine, all one word, .tech. Thank you very much.
Thank you.